Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your daily Baltimore sports podcast. My name is Nathan Stroud, and today we're going to be going over the Orioles and Astros Game 2 of this 4-game series. Today is Friday. Unfortunately, the Orioles went out there and did lose this game 10-7. The offense went out there, did its thing. The offense was actually great today, but unfortunately, Cade Povich just did not have a good day on the mound, and overall the pitching was just not great from the Orioles as well. So overall, a very, underwhelming game for the Orioles. Back-to-back losses now to the Astros. The best that they can do in the series now is split the series 2-2. If they lose one of the next two games, they automatically lose this series. And obviously, hopefully they don't lose the next two games or they'll get swept. So overall, very disappointing game for the Orioles in general. Obviously, this morning started off with some very, very good news regarding Samuel Basallo getting that 8-year, $67 million extension. I did an emergency episode this morning kind of covering all of that, so if you want to know more details about that, make sure to look at the last episode that I posted. But today obviously started off with really good news for the Orioles, and overall, the vibes were up today. You know what I mean? The vibes were up. The Orioles extended their first player in forever. Really, the first extension in the Mike Elias era of him being the general manager. It's been 7 years since he's been the GM. This is the first player we've signed to a long-term deal. I spoke earlier about how I think that this opens up a lot of doors for future extensions for guys like Gunnar and Jackson Holliday, and also just opens up the idea that we might be spending a lot of money this offseason. Even though the contract we gave Basallo isn't some crazy high number contract, I do think that this kind of opens up the possibility of us potentially going out in free agency this year and actually revamping this bullpen, maybe finding a new closer, and maybe adding another quality starting pitcher as well. Obviously, we'll get to that whenever we get to that, but let's just go over this Orioles and Astros game. So going over this game, obviously the Orioles lose 10-7 to the Astros. The Orioles record moves to 59-69. We're still looking for our 60th win of the year. We've unfortunately lost back-to-back games now to the Astros. Obviously we played them last weekend where we took 2 out of 3, and we've already lost 2 out of 4 in this series. And we've only played 2 games. Yesterday we lost 7-2. Today we lost 10-7. The pitching has given up 17 runs over the past 2 games to the Astros, and after they had a very big offensive slump last weekend, they have really turned things around in this series here at home in Baltimore. So, going over the offense, the Orioles actually out-hit the Astros in this game 13-10, but unfortunately they went 3 for 14 with runners in scoring position, and they left 11 guys on base. So they had a lot of opportunities to, bring in more runs and win this game. They didn't really do well with runners in scoring position. They left a lot of guys on base, but 13 hits on the day is not too bad at all. There was 4 different Orioles in this game that had multiple hits, and it's from a lot of people that you wouldn't really expect. So going over this offense in general, Jackson Holliday was the leadoff guy. He went 1 for 3 with an RBI in this game. He also had 2 walks, so Jackson Holliday gets on base 3 times. Again, that's exactly what you want to see from your leadoff guy. Shout out to Jackson Holliday. And then Jeremiah Jackson, who is batting second in this game. Also, I will say, we did get some updates on the Jordan Westburg injury, and unfortunately he is headed to the 15-day IL. So Jordan Westburg is on the 15-day IL, so we will not see Jordan Westburg potentially for the rest of the season. He might join the team sometime in September, but this might be the end for Jordan Westburg for this season, which really sucks because this is now his 3rd IL stint of the season, and he's just someone who over the past couple of years for the Orioles has really just dealt with a lot of injury, and it sucks because he's such a talented player when he's out there. He's an amazing defensive third baseman. He has an amazing bat. He always seems to just produce in the very high intense scenarios, but unfortunately he is on the injured list. But we do have some more injury news that did happen in this game that we're going to go over. It does suck a little bit, but Jordan Westburg is on the IL. The Orioles, called up some guys and did their thing, and the lineup right now for the Orioles does not necessarily look complete because obviously you are missing Jordan Westburg right now. You're still missing Tyler O'Neill, and just overall this lineup isn't necessarily the most complete thing in the world, but there is a little over a month left in the year. We're just going to have to roll with it. So Jeremiah Jackson was batting second in this game. He was playing right field today, and I just want to say one thing again, because he has been playing excellent this year, and I want to give him his flowers. Jeremiah Jackson in this game, he's one of 4 Orioles that had multiple hits. He went out there today, went 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs, and it seems like every single time I look at a Jeremiah Jackson stat line, he's always getting like 2 or 3 hits, or at least he's always getting on base as well. So Jeremiah Jackson has been incredible for the Orioles since we called him up. Obviously, Basayo gets a ton of attention, especially with the contract extension. Obviously, Dylan Beavers gets a ton of attention as well. But Jeremiah Jackson has been excellent since we called him up just like post-trade deadline. Because if you don't remember, we called up Jeremiah Jackson the day after the trade deadline, after we traded Laureano, after we traded O'Hearn, all that stuff, after we traded Mullins. Jeremiah Jackson was just another outfielder that we called up from AAA, and he's been playing incredible. He has a 327 average and I think like 55 plate appearances, which is incredible. He had 3 RBIs in the day as well. He's not necessarily like a home run hitter, but he has done a damn good job of getting on base from contact or just drawing walks as well. Gunnar Henderson in this game was batting third. He went 2 for 5. Ryan Mountcastle went 1 for 4. Colton Cowser went 1 for 5 with a solo home run. So good to see Colton Cowser get his 10th home run of the season. Obviously, he has struggled this year with his average. His average is only sitting at a 211 right now. Obviously, he dealt with that hand or the thumb injury earlier on in the season, so he hasn't been 100% healthy this year. But Colton Cowser gets his 10th home run of the season, so shout out to Colton. And then Kobe Mayo in this game goes 0 for 3 with a walk and a run scored. But with Kobe Mayo, there is some bad news. In the 9th inning, when Kobe Mayo was up to bat, he did get nailed on the hand. He didn't have to get taken out the game. He stayed in the game. But Kobe Mayo did get hit on the hand. It looked pretty bad. It also looked very similar to what happened to Colton Cowser in the playoffs last year when he broke his hand and he was obviously, had to recover the entire offseason. But Kobe Mayo, it did look very scary. He did stay in the game, so shout out to him. But there was a report about 30 minutes ago that they did do x-rays on Kobe Mayo's hand, and they did come out negative. So that is good. That is a good thing. So hopefully this Kobe Mayo injury isn't anything that's going to be too bad. Because again, Kobe Mayo is one of those guys, just like Dylan Beavers, just like Samuel Basayo, who I'm kind of watching throughout the rest of the season, because Kobe is just like those guys in terms of the fact that he is going to be a part of this young team's future and someone who, we look at to be an everyday first baseman for the Orioles, and that's why he's been getting so many reps recently, ever since we traded Ryan O'Hearn. But Kobe Mayo, obviously, he's one of the better prospects for the Orioles whenever he did get called up at the time he got called up. But Kobe Mayo did get hit on the hand. The x-rays did come out negative, so that is a good thing. It could have been a lot worse. It could have been a broken hand, but it seems like the injury is not as bad as we initially thought. So maybe, will Kobe Mayo go to the IL? Maybe. Probably, to be honest with you. He'll probably go to the IL. And he might... And hopefully he'll come back sometime this season. But at this time of the year, when someone goes to the IL with only like a month left in the year, you kind of have to have that conversation of whether these guys are actually going to come back sometime this year. But Kobe Mayo really does need that. Kobe Mayo needs to get as many reps as he possibly can. And this season, how many games has Kobe Mayo played this year? So Kobe Mayo this year has played a total of 54 games this year. So he hasn't played a ton. He's played a decent amount of games. Obviously, he was in AAA to start the year, then got called back up, then got sent back down, then got called back up. So Kobe Mayo did... he's only played 58 games this season so far. Last year, how many games did he play last season? Last year, he only played 17. So this year, he played 54. And in his 54 games this year, he has 33 hits. He has a 2.01 average with 5 home runs, 19 RBIs, and 50 strikeouts. The 50 strikeouts is a big thing. He has struggled with his strikeouts. If you go and look at his games in 2024, he had 22 strikeouts in 17 games. So that was kind of crazy. But and he also was 4 for 41 in his at-bats. But Kobe Mayo obviously has improved this year, but I just do not think that he has played enough to like really solidify himself in anything. He's only played like 54 games this year, so I'm not. So we're not going to go too hard on Kobe Mayo here. He has only played 54 games. It is, he still is a young player. He's 23 years old. He still has so much time to get better, and he's shown a lot of flashes of greatness this season as well. But overall, things should be good. Hopefully the injury is not too bad for Kobe, and hopefully we will see him, maybe not for the rest of this series, but hopefully in the next series against Boston. Dylan Beavers in this game. Dylan Beavers obviously yesterday got his first major league home run, and it also just happened to be in his home debut in Camden Yards. But Dylan Beavers continues to be so good for the Baltimore Orioles this year. Ever since he got called up, he's been so good. And he's just been so good at getting on base. Like, for example, today, he goes 1 for 3 with 2 walks and 2 runs scored. So he gets on base 3 times in this game, goes 1 for 3, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, and 2 runs scored. So Dylan Beavers is coming out here, and, he's really been like a 6 or 7 hitter, a 6 or 7 guy hitter, and he's been playing excellent for the Orioles since he's gotten called up. He has a 300 average, a 481 on base percentage, and a 500 slug. So shout out to Dylan Beavers. He has played excellent for the Orioles since he's been here. Luis Vazquez was in this game. He went 2 for 3 with a run scored, and then Samuel Basallo came in as a pinch hitter, and he went 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. And look, today was a big day for him. Obviously, he signed that extension. The emotions are high. The reason why he actually wasn't in the lineup going into today is because Tony Mansolino said he went through a rigorous physical and he was exhausted, but he did come into this game, went 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts, by far his worst outing as an Oriole so far. But look, Samuel Basallo is going to be an absolute monster for this team moving forward. We understand his potential, and so does Mike Elias, and so does this team. We just extended him on a 8-year, $67 million contract extension for Basallo. And he is actually having a press conference tomorrow, which is going to be really interesting because there's really never been like an Oriole player press conference for a contract extension ever, or at least in like the past 7 years. So this is going to be really interesting to see. I'm excited to see some of the questions that they're going to ask Mike Elias and how he's going to answer them. So we'll definitely tune into that, and also kind of we'll talk about what happens tomorrow during the press conference. Austin Jackson in this game. Obviously, he was starting to catcher today. He went 2 for 3 in this game with an RBI, and then Machine. Obviously, we called him the Machine. Him getting called back up was very cool to see. Vimamel Machine goes 1 for 2 in this game with a solo home run, so shout out to him. So 2 home runs hit in this game by the Orioles. It was a solo homer by Cowser and a solo home run by Machine. But overall, not a great day pitching wise, but offensively it was great. 13 hits, scored 7 runs on those 13 hits. Obviously, guys like Jeremiah Jackson played great today. Gunnar Henderson did good. Luis Vazquez did good. Austin Jackson did good. And Dylan Beavers also did good in this game as well, so shout out to all of them. But then going over to the pitching, and this is the big part about the game that was the biggest problem for the Orioles. How it's been pretty much all year. You know the drill. We're 130 plus games into the season. We should know the drill by now. What's wrong with the Orioles and what's been their downfall this year as well. But Cade Povich in this game did go 2 for 7. His record is 2 for 7. Oh my God, he wasn't hitting today. But Cade Povich, his record does go to 2 and 7 this year. Does get credited the loss. Did not have a great game today. This is a Cade Povich stat line that we've seen quite a bit this year, where he's either pretty sharp or he's awful. And today just happened to be a day where he just wasn't really doing his thing. Got through 4.2 innings of work, gave up 4 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, and had 5 strikeouts, and gave up a home run. And the home run was a 3-run homer as well. So it does say that he gave up 6 runs, but only 4 of them were earned, and that is because the Orioles did have a couple of errors early on in the game, so they didn't technically count as Cade Povich's runs. Even though it was 6 runs that were scored, only 4 of them were earned for Cade. But overall, his ERA goes up to a 5.13. Just not a great season thus far for Cade Povich. He was on the injured list for a little bit, but besides besides that, he just has not been great for the Orioles, and he was someone who I was really expecting to have a breakout year this year, or just a potential bounce back year from what happened last season. But unfortunately, it just has not really gone his way. I think the Orioles, what they're going to do next year with Cade, I don't think they're going to send him back down to AAA. I do think that they're going to try and make him a bullpen guy, because I don't really see him starting any more games for the Orioles, to be honest with you. I really just don't see that. Even with Tomoyuki Sagano probably leaving in this offseason and Zach Eflin leaving, I just don't see Cade Povich being a starter for this team, even a back-end starter. I do see him, though. I think he can be very, very good out of the bullpen and be kind of a one of the guys in the bullpen who can, go 2 innings or even 3 innings if necessary. He's going to be someone who can be a long reliever, and hopefully, maybe that's a role that we'll pursue for him. I don't know, but we'll see what happens with Cade Povich's future, and not really his future, but just his role with the Orioles moving forward. Yennier Cano in this game gets through .1 innings and gives up a solo home run. Classic Yennier Cano, 5.56 ERA, by the way, this year as a reliever. That is not good at all. And then Cade Stroud in this game, he was actually perfect, got through 1 inning, gave up 0 runs. And then Matt Bowman in this game kind of slammed the door shut on this game, to be honest with you. Got through 1.1 innings, gave up 2 hits, 2 runs. And then Corbin Martin came in and gave up a run at the end and the later parts of the game as well. So, overall, pitching wasn't great. 4 different pitchers in this game of the 5 that we used gave up a run. That is not a recipe for success. We've learned that. But the Orioles were close to winning this game, and then they started coming back a little bit, and then the Astros kind of put the nail in the coffin in the 8th inning. But overall, very tough loss for the Orioles. We're used to this at this point. We're back to being 10 games below 500, and all you can really do is just shrug at the situation and move on. The news of us getting Basayo on a long-term deal and potentially opening up more extensions and, a potential, spending spree this free agency, that's good news in itself, because at the end of the day, we're all focused on 2026, and what happened today is very good news for moving forward. But going into the game tomorrow, we are going to see Dean Kramer on the mound. Obviously, Dean Kramer has been excellent for the Orioles here recently. It's Christian Javier versus Dean Kramer. And if we go look at Dean Kramer's recent stats here, in his past 2 starts, he's been excellent. 7 innings, 0 runs, 7 strikeouts, and 8 innings, 1 run, 6 strikeouts. So over his past 2 games, he's been excellent. Before that, he had some bad starts in a row, but his past 2 starts against Houston and Seattle have been lights out, and hopefully he can keep that momentum up tomorrow against the Astros, and hopefully we can just win this series, or not win the series, but hopefully we can take the game tomorrow and avoid getting swept. But thank you guys so much for tuning into and listening to this episode of Birds of a Feather. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe on YouTube, follow up on Spotify, and make sure to like the video on YouTube as well. Make sure to follow the Instagram, make sure to follow the Twitter, post updates all the time on stuff going on there, live reactions to the games, live reactions to any sort of news, so make sure to give the Twitter a follow. And yeah, very tough loss for the Orioles today. The Ravens actually do play their preseason game tomorrow morning, so tomorrow, going to be a loaded episode tomorrow. We've got Ravens preseason game, the finale actually for the preseason, the 3rd and final preseason game for the Ravens. We're going to be going over that tomorrow. We're also going to be going over anything interesting that happens in the Samuel Basayo press conference. And then we're also going to be going over the Orioles-Astros game as well. So I don't know if I'll do 2 episodes tomorrow or just one big one at the end. But whatever it's going to be, there's going to be a lot of content for tomorrow. So make sure to tune in. And also make sure to follow my Twitter. I'm going to be posting some stuff about the Ravens preseason game on there. So make sure to give that a follow. It is going to be in the link of the bio of whatever platform you're listening on. So make sure to give that a follow. Again, I appreciate all the support that you guys are giving me. For real, this has been such a surreal experience to do the show, and this is just the beginning at the end of the day. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. You have a great Steelers day. Go O's, go Ravens, and I'll see y'all later. Peace out.